Hi, everybody. My name is Darlene Rondo. I'm the Vice President, Best Practices for Leonardo's Online Merchandising Group, and I'll be your host for today's event. I'd like to welcome everyone around the globe, and to those for whom it is the middle of the night, a special thank you for joining us. We're really excited to share with you valuable insights about how to drive direct bookings by showing you practical tips to result in very specific conversion desirable results, and show you how to create a snackable, targeted, and organized property story along with much more. A few housekeeping items before we begin. First, we're going to be recording today's webinar, and at the conclusion of our session today, we're going to be sending you a thank you for joining us email with a link to that recording, which you can listen to again or share at your leisure. Additionally, you have a questions dialog box in your GoToMeeting panel. I see that some of you have already found it. So as we move through our discussion today, please feel free to send in those questions and we'll address them throughout the event as well as at the end of the presentation if we have time. We're also going to be tweeting during today's discussion, so please feel free to join in the conversation at #LeoWebinar. And as we always do, we like to start the event with a poll. And today's poll appears on the screen. And the question is, what is your biggest challenge with your current website? And you have 4 answers from which to choose. The first is your biggest challenge is trying to track performance. How do you know what's working and what isn't working? The second is finding the budget to upgrade or enhance it, and finding the time to focus on it is the third question. And then lastly, learning how to drive conversions. So I see that people are weighing in, and I guess no surprise, learning how to drive conversions seems to be leading by quite a big margin, followed by tracking performance. And then finding the budget doesn't seem to be an issue for most people, and finding the time to focus on it doesn't seem to be a big issue. So thanks, everybody. I am going to close the poll now that the majority of you have weighed in, and we will continue with our webinar. So first, I'd like to introduce a special guest, Scott Yankton. Scott is an Internet business system, software as a service, and software contract consultant, and Scott's the president of Scott Yankton Consulting. His clients include the University of Southern Cal, State Senator Joel Anderson, Konami, Radar Apps, and Goldman Sachs, where he recently led a team in the creation of a new website for the Stratosphere in Las Vegas. That project in particular resulted in 2.9 times increase in the conversion rate on their website. So welcome, Scott. Glad to have you with us today. I'd also like to introduce Cristobal Gallet. Chris is the e-commerce executive at the Doha Marriott Hotel. He received the E-Action Plan Achiever Award for 2012 at the Global E-Commerce Summit and the E-Commerce Leader of the Year Award at last year's Global Leadership Awards. Chris is currently working on a new custom website for Marriott Doha's outside services like catering and the marina. Later this year, Chris plans on implementing an online food and beverage booking system that will be embedded into their hotel website and social media channels. So thanks very much, Chris, for joining us as well. Before our speakers begin, I want to share a couple of important points about your conversion opportunity. Your ultimate goal as a hotel, B&B, or a vacation rental marketer is to secure as many direct bookings as possible, right? Because, among other things, your property website is your most cost-effective channel. But consider this. You have less than 10 seconds to capture their attention and give them a reason to choose your property. Less than the time it takes to kiss your loved one goodbye in the morning, chug a glass of water, or order your daily coffee from your favorite barista. And because the people who arrive at your website for the first time generally are not ready to buy, you have a huge opportunity to engage them and secure that top-of-mind position as they move from site to site, evaluating their options before booking. today we're going to hear from Scott and Chris on how to improve your website presence and, as a result, your conversions. And now at this time, I'm going to reintroduce Scott, and over to you.
Okay, great. Sorry, I was on mute. Well, Darlene, thanks so much for having me today. Thank you. And thanks for having me today. Can we jump to the next screen? Great. So we're going to start off by talking about the two most important website-related tasks. And so the first one, just getting potential customers to your site. And I think, Darlene, you guys have a webinar coming up on that?
We do.
Okay. So that's not what we're going to talk about today, but getting them to your site is definitely part of the equation. But really what we're going to talk about today is once they're on your site, converting them. And the good news is, per Google, 52% of the travelers that visit your hotel's website, or they visit your hotel website after seeing you on an OTA listing, so like Expedia and the rest of those OTAs. So that's great news. So what we're going to do is try to capture them while they're there. So the three main keys that we're going to talk about today and really net it out on how to have better conversion is first, usability and user experience. That's really just how to make it easy for users to find what they want. Then social proof, which is really independent third-party feedback on your property and site. And then really similar to usability, but we're going to reemphasize it as optimizing checkout. And that's just how easy you make it to actually push that book button. So we'll go ahead and start off on user experience. And one of the things that is super important, and we'll talk about this in a sec, but is making sure that you're answering the user's most important questions. And this varies by market. But you need to figure out what those questions are and answer them in the logical order for your customers or your users on the websites. And one of those things that they had questions on were the images and the stories around the property. You know, the food, the amenities, the rooms, as much information as possible, and images about the property. And like it says there in the green, this was the item that was requested the most, or more of the most, in the usability studies, in particular for the stratosphere. Can we go to J House?
Sure, absolutely. In the interim, George from our audience has an interesting question, Scott. Mm-hmm. He goes, he's really curious about driving them directly to the website so that they don't make a reservation on the OTA. And I think some of what you're going to talk about today, and certainly Chris is going to help George with that answer.
Yeah, and I think the key, or the underlying key for that is when they do get there, is to make sure you convert them while they're on the site. And that's kind of what the emphasis is. So we're on J House. Can we hit the home page now?
Yeah, we're there. So
these pictures, this is in particular, this site has done it so well, and this is exactly what people asked for in the usability studies, in particular with the stratosphere. I just thought the images with this site were just exceptional. And I think if you go through it, you even see the room, you see different angles in the room, which the top three things they asked for were room pictures, all angles, amenities, and food, pictures of food if there was a restaurant on site. I think that's good. We can jump back. Okay. Gorgeous pictures, though.
Yeah, they are, and they really go a long way in helping tell that story that everybody is interested to hear about, right? So it's a number of things, and Scott, you know, as a website conversion expert, you know there are a number of things that drive conversions, and as you point out, the images help tell that story, and that just is another really important component.
When we talk about in logical order, when we talk about in logical order, that's the first thing that they want to see. At least that's what's come out in all the usability studies that I've done. They want to see the story of the property in pictures and videos. I did want to say on that first point too that they do like videos and they do like bullet points, And to the person in the last few sets of usability studies, no one's really read the text, but they did get down as far as to the bullet points. So you know that your text is for SEO, and there may be a few people that read it, but very few read it.
And Scott, here's another question from Steve in the audience, and I've heard this question a lot. In the J house, he noticed that there aren't any humans in those pictures. I know I have some thoughts on the subject. Any insights to share?
I think that's going to be more market specific.
Yeah.
If that's what your market reacts to, if you're, for instance, if you're a very homey property and showing people in that environment is attractive to your users, then that's what you put in. If your users prefer the New York black and white, very architectural, then maybe that's what's best for your market.
I think that's right on. It's entirely tied directly to your brand and the messaging and the voice around your brand. So, yeah, I agree.
And this is where usability studies really help, and you can do them for very inexpensive. I mean, they're not difficult to do, but asking real customers what they think about your site and how to navigate it is indispensable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, on to the second item in user experience is to make sure you're providing users with an intuitive interface that doesn't have any obstacles that discourage conversion. And that means quick, efficient, intuitive navigation that inspires confidence. And those are the things that end up in conversion. So any confusing navigation, that's when they jump back to the OTAs. I mean, as soon as they hit something they don't understand, and you need to have obvious calls to action that pull users down the desired path. And so you don't want the wrong calls to action or confusing calls to action. You want it to be very specific where you want them to go. You can go ahead and go to the next.
Here we go.
I wanted to show you something that was really interesting. So this is a page that's a copy of a page straight out of off of a booking widget. And take a moment and try to figure out where exactly that you need to click next. And I thought it was interesting because it took me quite a while to figure it out. Darlene, any ideas?
I'm looking and I'm going, I don't know, I might start clicking on the calendar.
Yeah, I think you need to click on the Buy Room tab, which is not intuitive at all. And this is exactly the kind of thing. This is an obstacle in front of conversion. And this is off of a real site. So if you don't know where to go, people are going to jump back to the OTAs to book because they know the experience.
Back to George's question, right? How to keep them from going to the OTA. This is a really good example.
Exactly. Okay. One of those things that is really important is we know is social proof. And that's really, again, independent third parties or what others think about your site and your property. And one of the things we do know is that 77% of customers read reviews before they purchase online. So the wonderful thing about what Visly does is it's got TripAdvisor right on it. And I know in the Stratosphere project, we put both TripAdvisor and Yelp widgets on the site, so that they didn't have to leave to go look at those sites and then try to come back. You have that example, right?
Here's the example of the Blue Bay Inn, and I'm going to take you live to their website here. And we can see where the reviews are.
Yeah, I think if I mean, it's important. I guess we can do this one really quick. Notice how the navigation is suites, galleries, see and do. You might want to take a look at your analytics and move the reviews up to maybe before see and do. Most likely be there. But if you can click on reviews, that would be great.
Yeah, here we go.
You can see these are TripAdvisor widgets. Amazing. Right on site, you get to see exactly what people are saying about your properties or about your property. Anyway, great example.
Yeah, and the important thing to just reemphasize what Scott said is that it's keeping them on your site. So you're not making them go off your site to go check a review, and then, once they're off your site, you're risking that they're not going to come back, right? So that's why this kind of thing is so important.
Something else that's great for social proof, customer testimonials. Video testimonials are outstanding. Text, images, any kind of customer testimonials are great. Of course, any awards. I've seen a lot of sites where they put the awards at the bottom. I wouldn't put them at the bottom. Put them at the top so people know that you've received them. Can you go ahead and, I think there's one or a couple more items.
There are.
One of those things that really helps, especially in the checkout process, and we'll talk about this again, is those third-party certification icons that just create confidence. They create confidence in your site. Those are really nice to have. And then lastly, evidence that other people are booking. And you'll notice the 156 people booked in the last 48 hours. You notice these on sites like Expedia, but there are also booking engines that have these in their tool set, and they're excellent to increase your conversion rate.
It's a very clever way to create a sense of urgency, right?
Exactly, exactly. Okay.
And here's your pet project.
Yep, this is very specific. You'll notice we're talking about social proof, but I'll say in general, they want to see pictures, so there's a way to see pictures. There is social proof in the TripAdvisor, and then we'll talk about this a little bit later about the best price guarantee, and then you see the 114 people booked, all of it right there, so they don't have to go outside the site. Oops. I think we need to go back one screen.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so along the usability lines, it's really, really important to optimize your checkout. And we'll go ahead and start with only ask for what you need. Unnecessary fields cause people to leave your site. And, really, do you need the street address of where they live? Or do you really want to get them booked first? You'll notice on sites, again, I'll use Expedia as an example because they spend hundreds of millions of dollars on research that you can leverage. They only ask for what they need, and then number two, they tell the users why they need the information that they collect. So when you ask for the credit card information, it's not just a name, address, and credit card information to fill out this form. It's how do you want to pay? Can we click to the next one? We can kind of show them that.
Sure.
And then we'll come back. See, this is an example, but Expedia does it in the same way. Who's traveling? They just ask for name, address, or name and phone number. That's reasonable. Where should we send your confirmation? A reasonable request for an email because you have to deliver the confirmation. And again, how would you like to pay? Which is just the minimum amount of information for paying.
I love this, Steve. I love this, Scott, because this is simple, it's very clear, and direct. And you could fill this out in, 10 seconds.
And that's the thing is you really want to try to beat the OTAs in the quickness of their process, and it can be done. I mean, the tools are out there. Can we go back to the last? Okay, again, just like we said, minimal clicks and pages, very clear calls to action. That means make your buttons easy to see and they know exactly where to go, and don't put a bunch of conflicting calls to action. Like, for instance, registering. I mean, these are nice things to have, but they should be out of the way places because the goal here is conversion. Again, those confidence icons, the assure customers that checkout is safe, like the authorized.net one that you saw. The best rate guarantee is a great thing to have. A lot of booking engines have this in their tool set. So I would make sure and get that added because it does matter. That means they don't have to go outside and price compare because they have your best rate guarantee right there. And again, those sense of urgency prompts, one room left. And again, these are in the tool sets of booking engines. You just need to either twist the arm of the one you have or find one that has it.
Do you want to stay on this slide or you want me to go to the next one after this?
I think we're good on the next one.
Okay.
And just as an example of some of the sense of urgency, 3 rooms left you see in the red, and even the little things like it only takes 2 minutes. If you've noticed, like I said, the OTAs like Expedia, they spend an inordinate amount of money on research. So go ahead and leverage what you see there that works.
And that's a good point, Scott. You know, you can be sure that if they're doing it, as you said, they've spent an awful lot of money on usability, and they're doing it because they've seen that it works. So, why not take advantage and leverage that?
Absolutely. And I think that is it.
One question, Scott, and it's a comment / question from Ari, and it has to do with reviews. I think you mentioned that you should incorporate all kinds of reviews into your website, and Ari's saying he often sees hotels that just cherry pick reviews and only show those. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, that's something you need to evaluate for yourself. There are different types of widgets with TripAdvisor that you can add or not add. Some that have comments, some that don't. I think this is kind of opening a whole can of worms. What if you're rated a 3 and you have some bad reviews? Well, maybe you'll be able to use some of those reviews to drive change in your property. But that's a much, much deeper question.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Well, thank you, Scott. Tons of questions from the audience, which always tells me that we're talking about a subject that is near and dear to everybody's hearts and on top of mind for everyone. So thanks for sharing with us. So just to recap what Scott was saying, consumers appreciate being informed, educated, and delighted, and not sold to anymore. So make it simple for them to learn about why your property is the right choice for them. We talked several times about reviews. Clearly, they're a part of the due diligence for consumers today. In fact, 80% of travelers say that TripAdvisor insights and validation, sort of that social proof that Scott was talking about, make them feel more confident. So embedding the reviews right into your site keeps the guest close to you. We know that amazing images strengthen the story, so use them to make that connection. Scott's done a lot of research on this. We did, last year, we analyzed more than 500 million pieces of media, and what we learned was that consumers, when they visited a website, they were looking very specifically at rooms first, and we did the top 10 list. So it was like rooms first, followed by restaurants, and then local attractions and restaurants. So it tells us that they're interested in where they're sleeping naturally, but also what's around them and in the area. At the core of any respected or reliable brand are consistency, reliability, and trust. So as Scott mentioned, advertise those awards and certifications. And then you'll quickly see conversion activity increase when you implement a solution that is helpful, entertaining, and actually usable on all devices. So again, Scott, thanks very much for sharing all that information with us. And now I would like to reintroduce Chris Gallett, who is the award-winning e-commerce executive at the Doha Marriott. So welcome, Chris. Glad to have you with us.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Darlene. All right, so we're going to talk about conversions, visuals, and everything like that. But first of all, I just want to say that the slides that we will go through it provides a general approach that worked for my property. So first of all, let's think of different kinds of things that drive conversions. There's a lot of things that drive conversions, which, for example, is market is different. Each market is different. You have to think of what kind of market are you targeting. And in regards to the website, it should have a functionality and visual which is easy for the visitors to use. Just like a perfect example with Scott, I'm already like writing down points from Scott's presentation, which is really great. Also, telling stories and directly guiding them on the path to book. You know, up-to-date visuals, content, and especially offers. It's always good while showing these visuals. Near that photos or images is the booking button or the call to action. So they don't have to go to to a new window. So it's really easy for them to book. Once they decide, it's just there. The button's there, and they're just gonna click it. So so that's we'll talk about more on regarding that. All right. So in regards to third party, same pattern apply here. So, but one thing that you need as well to address regarding third party, there are some special offers and merchandising icons, which differs in each third party websites here. If you don't have that, try to reach out with them. Ask them that you want this merchandising. Some is differs like there's a slash prices from OTAs, like what Scott showed us as well, like um, one room already booked, different different kinds. So you have to reach out with them and ask them that you need them. Usually it's for free, so use that as well. Also,
And
as
Chris,
I've said,
you're
yeah,
talking about that special offer that's highlighted in red on the
yes,
screen, right?
exactly, on TripAdvisor, yes. And
Yeah.
if you see, I don't know if you guys know about Facebook, they just released the new Book Now button. So for me, what I can say is just a button, right? That Book Now button, it doesn't really do anything. What you need to do is create an app and create a story about booking, because this lacks. I'm from my side. If you're asking me, I need more than just the Book Now button. I need some visuals what I need to book. So in our hotel fan page, we have an app which shows rooms before you book with nice photos as well, similar visuals. So that's one of the examples as well. So
And it's all about, Chris, giving them a reason to book, right? So you want to show them what the anticipated experience is going to be. You want to present them, if you're running a promotion or you have a special offer, you want to make sure that that's visible. And
exactly,
yeah, so that, and then
exactly,
as you
because
said, yeah, go ahead.
usually guests that comes to our hotel haven't been to Doha. So what we need to do is show them how it feels like. We use their imagination, what it feels like if they're already here, from the main entrance to the lobby, up to the spa, and up to the beach, and up to the room. We show everything in a way in order, so it's really like a journey for them in all the
Exactly.
channels, not just in Marriott.com. So
Hmm.
exactly what we are talking about, the journey. So what I can say about shopping journey, it's converting visitors to loyal guests. It's all about interaction. It's either directly or indirectly. It you need to listen to them, and you have to go to different sites. Um, what I can say is about, so when you try to listen, you need to take action. In our Facebook, we receive tons of messages, different kinds of questions, and this what we use on this information is what our offers is all about. So if people are asking, I remember we released in February a free Wi-Fi. Last year we have tons of reviews, like negative reviews about how our internet is so high, and we just made a decision with the management that, hey, let's give free Wi-Fi. So by saying that, when guests sees that, they said, oh, these guys are listening to us, you know, and
Exactly.
for me that's a conversion of loyal guests. So
Exactly.
once you analyze everything what they say, you need to make an offer for them on according to what their comments are.
Exactly. And then because you've listened to the message, and you've acted on it and you're on top of it, when you are reaching out to them, whether that's on Facebook or Instagram or whatever other channel you're using to communicate with them, uh, the consumer is really responsive because they go, hey, Doha Marriott really does care, what I think,
Exactly.
and so, that they're going to come back.
And it's really critical when they check in as well. By the way, it's up. Make sure you tell your front office to get the details and reach out with newsletters, current offers that you get. Everything they're already. You have all their contacts already. So reach out with them. Make sure to give them the best price guarantee, as what Scott said, as much as possible to get them rather than booking them in OTA, because the mentality for our guests is OTA is much cheaper than us, which is not true, right?
Mm-hmm.
So working with Marriott.com, unfortunately, our main website in themarriott.com, when we want to change something, it's not instant, it's not real time. So what we did, we have a Visly app, which is a reactive website to change from tab when you're using a tab and when you're using a phone, and it's connected to our Marriott.com. It doesn't change the style and the brand of our hotel. The same photos as well, so guests wouldn't be confused on if it's different or not. But what we like about the app, about the service, is you can change it anytime. I have meetings with my sales, with my events team as well, and we talk about it. I show them the app, and I tell them which photos they like, what promotion should we put, and of that, a few minutes you can change and you can tweak the app.
And
So
Chris, I just moved to that slide because you
yeah,
were talking about it, and just
yes,
to clarify for the audience, so you're using the Marriott booking engine in your Book Now capabilities, but in order to tell a more personalized story and to put the Doha Marriott's content, you created you used the Visly website solution to create your Doha MarriottSales.com site.
exactly. One great example is when it's Ramadan season here. We change how we tell the story. It's a Ramadan theme. So if it's a festive season, you change it in a way that it's more festive. You show more food rather than meetings and events. So it's
Right,
always up to you how you tell the story.
exactly, and that's really smart. So, for all of the hotel marketers that are on the call with us today, the platform you're using, whatever it is, you should have the ability to quickly and easily swap out the content based on what's going on in your area at the time, because that's what consumers are interested in, and that gives credibility also to you as a hotel, because
Exactly.
you become the local expert in your community, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to go back to this TripAdvisor conversion slide for you, Chris, if you could talk about that for a few minutes.
Yes. Okay. This is really interesting. Like we know what to put in this channel. We know we have to put photos, great offers, up-to-date offers. If it's summer, we have to put summer offers, right? But one of the most thing that usually hotels are scared about is management responses. For me, this is a big opportunity for us, especially the negative reviews, because if I go to a hotel and I go to TripAdvisor, I go directly to the reviews, and usually I search for the negative reviews if the hotel respond to it. You know, this is your
Mm-hmm.
chance to put, to turn it around and see that, because we anticipate our visitors in our site, they already went to TripAdvisor for sure. That's why we always make sure within 48 hours we respond to the reviews. We have We have a separate team to look into just for responding. Yes, it's really important, and it really helped us a lot. Before we are ranked 43, now we are ranked 37 out of 131, and the market here in Doha is it's growing fast. By start of the year, it's around 119 hotels. Now it's 131. So
Yeah.
it's tough, you know. So
Yeah, but you've made excellent progress, and I know I was on a TripAdvisor webinar the other day as a panelist, and we were talking about the things that really impact the consumer, and one of which is management responses to the comments that are being posted, and the recency and the turnaround time relative to those responses. And there's a direct correlation between increased engagement and management responses.
great.
So we talked about this slide, Chris. One thing, and let me ask you this: the offers that you have, do you have different offers on the tablet versus the smartphone, or do you typically take the same offer and push it out to both types of devices?
We use the same offer because sometimes our team has they have both, and but sometimes they, you know, before they go and or the day before they ask me, oh Chris, I'm gonna use a tab, can you tweak it out a bit? So that's the beauty about this app. It's like you can change it according to what he wants with what he wants to present to our accounts, you know. So best practices. I know one of the budget challenges is the budget for the images, because it costs a lot to take a professional photographer and have that challenges as well to upload photos in our Merit.com site. But when you have that chance, that you have that money, make the most out of it. What you can do right now is go to your site, write down the photos which is not there. I mean, I've written a list of images that I want. So next year, if I'm going to have another budget, you know, I don't have bathroom photos, which I know, you know, we really need that, and additional room photos. So you need to list out the things. So when you have that chance, you know, you have everything to upload.
Excellent.
Next, create personalized stories. Um, this one, it depends on the market here. Last year, I remember people are calling us and asking us if we have offers in Eid, which that's a month earlier in Ramadan. So it's always important to always be prepared and know, be an expert on your market, how to tell your stories, how you make how to engage a guest on how to create stories. Like as I mentioned earlier, you know, create photos as if you're going inside your hotel and going out and then coming back. And if you have F&B restaurants as well, you know, take them to a journey, you know. Um, and next, update regularly. This one I have I have a calendar because I tend to you know, don't remember things quite easily. So I make I make updates regularly. I make reminders on what to update. So for example, it's gonna be Christmas soon. So I have a reminder by November to update the app to put extra photos there. So you know, make a calendar for it. Next is offers. I mean, I don't know how, but for me, it's really important because offers is how the guest feels that, you know, it's a value for their money. You know, we need to give the guest the idea of getting more of what they're paying for, and it should
Exactly.
be timely as well, right?
Exactly.
And lastly, if you have everything already, like photos, you have great stories, and you update it, you have nice offers, you know, you have to share it. You have to meet with your team and and teach them. I trained I trained events and sales as well, and telling them that we have this and use it, and the next slide I'll show you some nice stories about that. So all right, so this is really interesting. So as you can see, guest book directly on Facebook, the result is 900. All right, it's not that big, right? But last year we don't have anything. We use our Facebook fan page as just for awareness, just to reach out with people. But imagine if now we're working on making this big now, because it's a possibility that the social media site can generate revenue. How cool is that, right? So I suggest.
So you didn't really, Chris, expect that to drive any
Never, never.
incremental revenue. You were just doing it to engage with your guests,
Engage
and then the
show,
next
yes,
thing you
and
know,
show off.
yeah, exactly. So now that's
Just to show off the photos. Yeah.
right.
And the next story is, as I mentioned, our salesman goes out, use their phone, and uses as a presentation. And sometimes they're in the lobby, and usually guests as well, and our clients use this now, and they have the opportunity as well um, to put their rate codes there, their own rate codes, their own rate code accounts to book their room. So let's say, for example, there's one that we close is a large airline company, and they just use the app and share it to their associates as well, and just place the rate code. And the good part about that is here when I'm changing it up to date, they're gonna see it as well, so they can see what we want to show. So
Mhm.
that's it.
No. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent tips. Here's a question, and it comes from Moses, and he wants to know, how do you create your offers if you have 90% of your guests who are corporate guests returning? How do you go about it? Do you put together offer packages for, in this case, this person has a mostly corporate audience, or audience, mostly
Definitely,
corporate guests, yes.
definitely, definitely. They should have their own rate code, and you know, this is as well a sign of make them feel special as well. They have their own rate code, and also for for, for tracking purposes as well for you guys. So we
Hmm.
have different rate codes for each corporate account. Yes.
Perfect. And then, as you said, make sure that you're tracking against it to see what's working and what people are responding to and what they're not responding to.
Exactly.
Well, thanks, Chris. Again, tons of questions came in during that section, which always tells us that we're hitting the right stuff. So let me just recap what Chris was talking about today. Integrating your booking engine into every single page, directly passing those reservation parameters, whether you're leveraging your brand booking engine or some other third-party widget, is really important. And also being everywhere that travel shoppers are, keeping content snackable with 12 45-second videos and crisp, interesting images. We know that content with visuals gains 94% more views than non-visual content. And last year, more than 1 billion devices were shipped with preloaded social apps. And I love this stat. 83% of leisure travelers, 83% of leisure travelers have had a poor experience on a mobile travel site. And only 23% of those who encountered a mobile site that wasn't mobilized or optimized rather, actually pushed through to make a booking. That's a lot of missed opportunity if your websites are not optimized. So just a few more minutes. We'd like to do another poll, and we'd like everybody to let us know what they thought of today's content. And you can do that by weighing in on the following question. Based on what you heard today, will you attend a future webinar? So for sure, don't know, not so much. So we love hearing from you guys, and it keeps us on the straight and narrow so that we can continue to deliver the content that's most interesting and, of course, valuable to you. So looks like the majority of folks have answered, and by and large, folks enjoyed what they learned today, and then about 16% of you said you weren't sure. So thanks, everybody, for giving us your feedback. Just in closing, if we look back to the very early 1900s when Henry Ford set out to democratize the car, what he said was that he wanted to build a car for the multitudes so that every person who wanted one could afford one. Well, that was the objective when we launched our digital marketing platform you heard both Scott and Chris talk about today. We call Visly, because it makes it possible for virtually every accommodation provider on the planet to have an affordable website that not only looks and feels like a custom product, but importantly impacts conversions in a very meaningful way. The Doha Marriott is a client, as you saw from Chris's presentation, who has taken visual storytelling to the very next level, and their website is engaging travel shoppers by creating powerful, relevant visual stories about their property. Scott also talked about the J House and the Blue Bay Inn, two properties among many, who will tell you that it's actually no extra work to build or maintain multiple versions of their website for desktop or mobile and in real time. These properties don't have to pay or wait for a webmaster to make changes. And it's an opportunity to set yourself apart from the competition so that you just don't sell on price. We have upcoming webinars, 5 more left in the year. Next month we're going to be talking about 2016 predictions in hospitality digital marketing. And as I said at the beginning, we're going to send you a thank you for joining us with a link to the recording of our event today. So thanks everyone for joining us. We are all out of time for today. Thank you, audience, for your questions and being so interactive. We really do appreciate your attention and your time. Thank you, Scott Yankton from Scott Yankton Consulting, and Chris Gellett from the Doha Marriott. We really appreciate your participation as well.
Thanks.
So to everyone, although I know in Doha they've already started the weekend, but on this side of the planet, Thursday is the new Friday, or at least that's what I keep thinking and hoping. So if it is the start of your weekend, have a good one, and we'll see you next month for 2016 predictions. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later.